Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. One by one, Donald Trump's defeated rivals for the 2024 Republican nomination have taken to the stage to sing his praises at the party's convention. From his box just above the convention floor, Trump smiled at times as he watched his former opponents, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy, voice their full support for his candidacy.
Let's send Joe Biden back to his basement and let's send Donald Trump back to the White House.
Donald Trump has my strong endorsement, period.
Thai police say cyanide poisoning was likely the cause of the deaths of 6 foreigners whose bodies were found in a room in a plush Bangkok hotel with the suspected killer among the dead. The rapid-acting deadly chemical was found on drinking glasses and a teapot in the room at the Grand Hyatt Erwan Hotel, and interviews with relatives of the dead revealed there had been a dispute over debt. Authorities said 2 of the 6 had loaned tens of millions of Thai baht to another of the deceased for investment purposes. The 6 were all of Vietnamese ethnicity, with 2 of them being US nationals. Cyanide is a deadly chemical that interferes with the body's ability to use oxygen. The King of England has outlined the new government's plans at the traditional state opening of Parliament. In a day of pomp and ceremony, King Charles travelled from Buckingham Palace to Westminster before making a speech in the House of Lords.
My lords, pray be seated.
The King announced around 35 new draft laws. Laws on illegal migration, housing and planning, workers' rights and a football regulator, as well as railway nationalisation were announced. New Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer said the plans will take the brakes off Britain.
Based upon the principles.
Schools and universities across Bangladesh have been shut until further notice after 6 people were killed in protests over quotas in government jobs. University students have been holding rallies for days against the system of reserving some public sector jobs for the relatives of war heroes who fought for the country's independence from Pakistan in 1971. Some jobs are also reserved for women, ethnic minorities and the disabled. A third of posts are kept for those family members of those categorised as war heroes. The students argue the system is discriminatory and they want recruitment based on merit. Taiwan's premier says it is willing to take on more responsibility for defending itself. It comes after Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump said that Taiwan should pay the United States for its defense, as it does not give the country anything. The US is Taiwan's most important international supporter and arms supplier, but they have no formal defense agreement. The US is, however, bound by law to provide Taiwan with the means to defend itself. Record rainfall from 3 huge storms has flooded parts of Toronto, cutting power and leaving drivers stranded on the major motorway through the city. Environment Canada reported that almost 4 inches of rain fell on Toronto on Tuesday, surpassing the city's daily record set in 1941. The pop star Drake posted a video on Instagram, which appears to show part of his Toronto home submerged. Toronto Hydro said the storm left more than 167,000 customers without power. And severe storms, including a tornado, have caused widespread destruction across upstate New York. The city of Rome in Oneida County was among the hardest hit areas, with extensive damage leading to a state of emergency declared by local officials. Video footage from an eyewitness showed streets with tree limbs and fallen street signs. The storms also brought down power lines, overturned cars, and caused significant structural damage to several buildings. The storm's impact stretched across central New York, affecting communities in Syracuse and Phoenix, with thousands still awaiting power restoration. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.